So as always, I'm Will, I'm the baldbookgeek, and I'm shooting this video back to back because I'm tired and I don't have much time. And this ring light is making me feel like I'm on the surface of the sun. So what have I been reading recently? So I'm going to pinpoint 3 books that I've read recently that are really great and one that I'm rereading currently. Let's start. So the first one is Wastelands, The New Apocalypse. These are short stories, and it includes writers like Veronica Roth and the guy that wrote the brilliant War books. But I'm always a sucker for short stories, and they're very difficult to review in the sense that a short story is very personal. I always say a review is a personal thing. You know, we don't all have the same opinion on a book because it would be quite boring. This is a fantastic read. There's a little something for everyone. I always kind of call this kind of book like the Netflix of reading, where you don't have to, you can try before you buy, and you can get a good taste of the writer. I will put it there, if I do it that side, so you guys can pause and see the list of writers. I really enjoyed this. Each writing style is very different, obviously, because it's a short story compilation, but also just different takes on the end of the world. Apocalyptic fiction is very difficult to get right, and sometimes it just doesn't work, and other times it does. So, Wastelands. The Girl in Red. Again with post-apocalyptic books. This is a writer that kind of was one of the first books I ever requested, which got me on the list for Titan, and they sent me 3 of these books. I'm a big fan of her work. I read The Lost, but I think I've read every book. The only one that left me a little bit cold was The Mermaid, but that's just because I read a lot of very, very good mermaid fiction around the same time, and maybe I was a little unfair on it, but this is a really different take on Little Red Riding Hood. This is a post-apocalyptic take on the story. And it's very dark. The writing is nice and concise, and I like her writing, to be honest. I do get on with her writing very well. She writes in a nice, easy way to consume the words. But this is a very dark, quite scary take on the whole Little Red Riding Hood ethos. And a story that's been told many, many, many times over the years, but I genuinely really love this. Just a gorgeous book. I like it. You kind of get lost in her world and her characters and her settings, and the world building in post-apocalyptic or apocalyptic stories in general needs to be good, because if the world building sucks, it's difficult to get into it. And this has a really good world building. So if you don't dismiss this as kind of a light, fluffy book, this is a very good read and very intense in places. I was really excited about this book. It's a sequel to The Girl of Lost Fortunes, and I love The Girl of Lost Fortunes. So when I discovered Gather the Fortunes was coming out, and Titan sent me the request form, I was on it like a bald guy to a razor. Just a really strong sequel. It's longer than the first book, and it still has that sort of magical realism, little bit of urban fantasy, and just New Orleans in general is a fantastic city and a city I adore, so when I got the opportunity to read this, I kind of jumped at it, and yeah, it's beautiful. I don't want to say too much in terms of story, for the simple reason that the story, you need to read the first book to read this, but the series so far has been brilliant, and I fell in love with it. I fell in love with this world and the characters, and I can't wait for more to come. So, I don't normally like series, that's also a slightly random thing about me, but this is gorgeous. And also, I'm a sucker for books with maps, and I'm currently rereading something that is one of my favourite novels. I'm currently rereading His Dark Materials trilogy. Now, if you guys want me to do a video about the His Dark Materials trilogy, please comment down below, and I'm going to be cheeky and hit that thumbs up. This is one of my favourite fantasy series ever. As a child, I loved the adventure, and as an adult, when it goes into metaphysics and theology and a whole list of everything, it's a gorgeous series, and I have a gorgeous hardback, which I've always wanted. I've always had these tiny little paperbacks which now live in a charity shop, but this is staying with me for a very long time because this is the edition I've always wanted, and I could never get it when it first came out. So yes, tell me, as always, what have you been reading? How have you been reading? How are you doing? I'll talk to you guys later.